A very good afternoon to all the viewers. I must thank all of you for
A very
understanding
good
the.
afternoon to all the viewers.
So, I would like to thank all the participants for understanding importance of plagiarism. Okay, we are going to start our session. So, I would like to thank all the viewers for understanding importance of plagiarism, which is the need of our today. In this session, particularly, we are going to look at plagiarism with respect to academic writing. So, this academic writing can be in the form of student dissertations for MPharm or short term projects if undertaken in the BPharm, then your research and review publication, dissertations of the PhD, any kind of writing or say patent applications, any kind of writing which can be there in the academics for the students as well as teachers. We are going to discuss this plagiarism with respect to what do we understand by its meaning, different types of plagiarism, and because it is something not desirable, it is not a ethical part in the research, how to avoid plagiarism. For that, we need to understand what are the reasons. Also, we will see how to check this plagiarism at our end. Finally, during the submission, university is going to check it, but if we check it beforehand, then it will be helpful for us. So what does this plagiarism means? Plagiarism is actually a dishonesty to our academics, and if I tell you, it is actually violation of intellectual property rights. When we say intellectual property rights, we generally think of patents, then copyrights, trademarks, and these are punishable offenses if you violate these intellectual property rights. But plagiarism is such a widespread, you can say, misconcept. That is why it is most commonly observed during the writing. That is why one must treat this as very important and make the best use of this quarantine period to get rid of this disease. So, this is dishonesty to the academics and it is the breach of scientific ethics. Actually, plagiarism means if you are using someone else's idea. Now, idea plagiarism is different. So, today we are going to just focus on the information. So, if you are making use of someone's information without acknowledging them, without giving proper reference to them in the form of citation, so if you are making use of information which is already reported by someone, now this someone can be yourself. If you have previously reported some information and now again you are using the same information, that can also be called as plagiarism. So it is essentially making use of some information which is already reported by someone or by you previously. And it is the breach of trust. So there are serious implications of it. If you are going to write research or review papers, when you will submit it to different journals, this is the first stage when the editors they do carry out this plagiarism check. If the plagiarism is very high, they straight away reject your manuscript. If it is less, say around 20%, they will give you one chance to improve upon it, and later on again they will carry out plagiarism check. Then only your manuscripts can go for next stage. Otherwise, they will be straight away rejected. But if they detect plagiarism into already published papers or your already submitted thesis, say few years after you submit your thesis, if they detect plagiarism, then they can also withdraw your degree or they can retract your published articles. UGC is very strict in this particular way. So UGC has drawn one circular. After that, this became more stringent for M Pharmacy dissertations. So in that circular, which was drawn in 2017, UGC had made it mandatory for checking every thesis which is submitted to them for carrying out the plagiarism check. And they have also mentioned some penalties if plagiarism is found in the submitted thesis. So we will go through that circular, and that is mandatory to all the universities all over India. So that was a public notice which was drafted in 2017. That initially involves meaning of the plagiarism, and later on it has been urged. There is one committee which they have framed to maintain the academic integrity. So initially there are general terms, responsibilities of the academic institutes. So they have categorized this plagiarism into three levels, and penalties are mentioned for the students as well as teachers. If you have plagiarism between 10 to 40%, less than 10% is usually accepted. So if you have plagiarism detected 10 to 40%, then no marks or credits should be given to that student, and student has to submit it again within 6 months. If it is 40 to 60%, then again no marks, but then time period of 1 year is given, so automatically you will get extension for submission of your MPharm. Not more than 18 months will be allowed. If it is more than 60%, then no other chance will be given, and your registration for that course, so if it is MPharm or PhD, your registration will get cancelled. Similarly, there are penalties for teachers also if they publish some research articles or review articles which are containing this plagiarism. So these are the serious implications, penalties in the form of retraction of your withdrawal of your degree, or rejection, retraction of the manuscripts can happen. Now there are several ways in which one can categorize this plagiarism. The easiest one, substantial plagiarism, means if you are just copy pasting the material word to word. If you have picked up some material, I will show you example, and if word to word it matches, then it is called as substantial. You can do paraphrasing, that is, you are just mixing the words without any change in their meaning. For avoiding plagiarism, one can opt for paraphrasing if you are correctly citing it and if you are giving your own contribution to it. But if you are just doing mixing of the words here and there without changing the meaning and without adding some contribution of your own, then it is called as paraphrasing. If you have, this is applicable to the faculty members if they have already published some research papers, and if they are reusing parts of the previously published article. Usually it happens that a person develops expertise in one particular area, so they have different kinds of work in the same area. So for, if they are repeating some information without giving reference to their earlier articles, then it is called as self plagiarism, also called as text recycling. Or if you are doing patch writing, means you are copying the parts and in the patches from different articles, and you are just joining them to make it appear that it is a new information. Usually students do it for the assignments when they do not have something of their own to add. They are given a topic and they just find out the information from different sources and they just combine it. That is called as patch writing. There are several other types of plagiarism. You can visit to this website of Authenticate, which has classified several other types of plagiarism. So we are going to look at different types of plagiarism as per Turnitin. Turnitin is the most widely used plagiarism detection software by many of the universities. So it might happen that when you submit your thesis, university will check it through Turnitin. So when your draft goes to Turnitin for checking it, it classifies the plagiarism detected in different types. There is something called as clone, then control C, find replace, remix, recycle, hybrid, mashup, 404. These all are common names to judge what can be in this type of plagiarism, aggregator and retweet. We're going to see them one by one. This is the homepage website of Turnitin where you can find these many types under the heading called as plagiarism spectrum. So okay, it is my request to the viewers, if you have any problem in between, you can write it into the chat box. I will answer all the queries at the end. If the screen is blurred or if you miss some part, then this recording will be available on my channel after some time, say 1 or 2 hours. So you can again view it if any part is not clear. So clone type of plagiarism means it is substantial type of plagiarism. If this is the source text and this is your file which goes for plagiarism checking, if they detect that everything, every word, including the heading, has been copied as such, it is called as clone. So percentage is given very high. Ultimately, when your thesis goes to the software, they calculate similarity index. So if your text has 100% similarity, then that plagiarism is very much serious. Then control C is you are taking the information, but you are just altering some words which are not important. Like in the original text, it is written since its first discovery. If you are writing from the time, meaning of since and from the time is same. So if you are copying it and you are just changing the words, see only one, two, three, four phrases you can say they have changed, which are not important. Say while and rest all text is same. Then it is called as control C. So you are carrying significant portion of this text and you are not citing it from which reference this particular text has been taken. Then find and replace, changing the keywords but retaining the essential content of the source. Here also majority is copied. This colored part indicates this has been copied. Say this is non-indigenous. Now this is not a general word. Non-indigenous has been changed to native. 19th, which was in the word, it has been changed to 19. Special, religious, it has converted into sacred. So what they have done is they have changed the keywords but main body remains same. So it is called as find and replace. Still it is not cited. When you cite the reference, then your chances of detecting this plagiarism goes lower. Remixing means you are taking the paraphrases from multiple sources. When the report will come out, these different colors, this pink, then yellow, then purple, these different colors will indicate from different sources you have gathered this information. So you have taken this first sentence from this paper, then this middle from some another paper, and then this you have taken from some other paper. So you are paraphrasing it from multiple sources and you are fitting it together. Still, you have not cited references here. So, citing is very important in this case, that from which sources this has been taken. That software is going to detect, but you must mention it. Recycling is self plagiarism. So, if anybody has already published this article and now they are writing this same information under some different heading, but information they are carrying same, it is from their original source, that is called as a recycle. Also, it is not cited. Then hybrid. So, hybrid is a perfect combination of something which is cited and something which is not cited. So you are copying something. See here, it is not cited. This portion has been taken from some article. This is cited. Again, you have taken some portion that is not cited. So mixture of copied information, which is cited as well as not cited, is called as hybrid. Then there is something called as mashup. So in mashup, you're going to mix this copied material from different sources and nothing is cited. So say one word from one sentence from one article, another sentence from one article, again one sentence from different articles. So mashup is without citing, but you are mixing it. This is also plagiarism. 404 error. It means you are including the citation. You are writing that this sentence you have taken from first reference, this sentence you have taken from second reference, this sentence you have taken from third reference, but that citations are not existent. If you type this into say Google or that journal which is stated over here, and this article is not found, incorrect referencing material, so that one cannot go to see that reference whether has been actually taken from that reference or not. This is also one form of plagiarism. Then aggregator, that includes proper citation. See, this is taken from the first reference, this is taken from second reference, this is from third reference. Citation has been given, but there is nothing original contribution from the author or say from the student. They have just mixed information obtained from different sources, they have cited it, but there is no original contribution. So it is just compilation of information. So that compilation has no meaning. It is also called as plagiarism when you are just combining it without adding any significant information from your end. Lastly, retweeting, there is proper citation, but it is too closely to the text's original wording or the structure. So it is like control C, the second type which we saw. But the difference is there is proper citation. You have cited it, but still it matches with the original one. So this is all about the different types of plagiarism which can exist. And Turnitin is going to catch all these types. And finally, Turnitin will give you one report which contains similarity index. So what one should do if there are so many different types of plagiarisms? This is another news which recently came on 22nd April, and UGC again has published one circular regarding self plagiarism. Keep writing your comments so that I can address it at the end. So on 20th April 2020, UGC has brought this circular on self plagiarism. So according to them, it should not be done if you are republishing the same paper which is already published elsewhere without full citation, or if you are publishing a smaller work from a larger and your previous work, if you are using the data already used in the previous work, if you are breaking up the larger study into smaller studies to just increase the number of publications, and if you are paraphrasing previously published work without citation. So this has been taken as a strict cognizance, and this is not allowed. So now we have seen plagiarism check has been made mandatory before submitting any article or thesis, and obviously it is something which is not desirable. There are penalties, even uh, it can play with your reputation if your manuscript is retracted later on. So one must try to avoid it. But for avoiding, we must understand why one go for plagiarism. If we understand these reasons of plagiarism, then surely we can avoid it. So all the measures of avoiding plagiarism, they lies in understanding all the reasons. So students can do it accidentally. They do not have any intention. If they are not aware what does this plagiarism means, then they tend to do it. So you must keep searching latest information as well as you visit to the homepage of these plagiarism detection softwares and understand what does this plagiarism actually is. And nowadays, for getting the degree or even for getting promotions, there is a constant pressure to get your work published into good journals. So, to increase the number of publications within less period of time, one is very tempted, though it can be unintentional. But with that pressure, along with lack of time, this can happen. Lack of time in the sense I have seen when students make their presentations for showing plan of work, they say initially for getting the drug and resources 3 months, and then say for a typical method development project, then developing a method 2 months, and then validating a method again for 3 months, and then assay for 1 month, and last 3 months they keep for thesis writing. And in this period, they just copy material from other sources, they refer to their seniors' thesis, and they tend to do it. So, lack of time is actually the mismanagement of time. When you are waiting for procuring your resources for initial 3 months, at that time you can complete writing your introduction. This is a good time. When you are actually working on your experimentation, you can write materials and methods. Those last 3 months you can just keep for writing discussion, which is also lacking in majority of the thesis. So you can invest that time for writing discussion about the results you have obtained, and summary and conclusion, and giving the final polished look. So lack of time is not true in this case. You need to just manage your time. Then lack of writing skills. We have been very much tempted for uh, because of the availability, ease of obtaining the information. Nowadays you can download any full text article, you can copy it, so that happens very fast. So nobody even tries to type something. It is all copy and pasted material. So we have somehow forgotten about writing. And even if we manage to combine these sources to make a good article, we do not know how to cite the references. Still, many of the students feel that at the end of their assignment or submission, giving the list of references means citing. It is not. You have to give list of references, but you need to cite those references. You need to explain from which source what information you have taken. So there is lack of skill for writing the references. We invest most of the time for editing the references. When the mentor says you need to write the references in one format, author, then title, then year. So a lot of time is given for editing the references. You must learn whatever list you are giving at the end, you should cite it within your text. So because of this ease is actually, we are now lucky to get access to this material. So that should not be converted into a mistake of plagiarism. So if you understand these are the major reasons why plagiarism happens, you should be able to avoid it. So now we are clear with this. Now it cannot be accidental for us because we know what are the types of plagiarism, we know the cognizance UGC is taking. So we are now prepared. Pressure to get work published, you can convert this as an opportunity to enrich your biodata for doing some good work. You select such a work which can be exciting for you, which is interesting for you, so that you will like to publish it into some good journal. There must be something coming out from your research that you can publish it into some good journal, and then you can manage your time. Every day you can keep writing some part of your thesis. I will give you one example how to avoid this particular uh, plagiarism. We are also going to learn how to cite the references quickly. So, can we avoid this plagiarism? Yes, definitely. We can avoid it, but only to a major extent, not 100%. There can't be any thesis which is having 0% similarity. So, nowadays it is acceptable. Maximum 10% similarity you can have. Then it is considered as good publication or thesis. So, to avoid it, you must inculcate writing skills in you. For that, you need to consider that this is your writing. There is also a misconception into the students that they state some information which is given by some author, and they just answer in this way that this has been mentioned in this particular book, or this particular information is taken from this article. But this is your writing. Your writing means you have accepted that information and then you are claiming it that it is correct. So it is your expression. You have to refer to the other's information, but you must paraphrase it. That is, you must change the way, you must frame it in your words, and you must cite it to give them proper credit. So all the types which we have seen, 10 types which are given by Turnitin, they will all mention that you should not directly copy paste it. You must arrange it in your language, and you must give the credit to the source from which it has been obtained. Though you are not directly copy pasting it, you are referring to it, you are writing it in your own words. So, writing in your own words, and you need to cite it. These are the two key things you need to do. For that, you need to first read that information carefully. So, after reading, try to understand what that author is trying to say from that information. And then you need to try it in your own words. I'll give you one example of this. Suppose your thesis involves some experimentation about metronidazole, and in the introduction, you need to write how metronidazole acts. So, this is one paragraph, that metronidazole mechanism of action. It inhibits nucleic acid synthesis by disrupting DNA of microbial cells. This function only occurs when metronidazole is partially reduced, and because this reduction usually happens only in anaerobic bacteria and protozoans, it has relatively little effect upon the human cells or aerobic bacteria. If I directly copy this paragraph into the thesis, one of the easiest way to check whether it is plagiarized or not is you need to copy this text, go to the Google, and just paste it. Google is the easiest way for checking the plagiarism. So this paragraph, when you are pasted it onto the Google, say everything which will appear in bold, it means it is plagiarized. It means it exists somewhere on the Google. So the source is also given, Wikipedia. So this is 100% plagiarism in this case. Now let's see how can we avoid it. So as I said, you need to read the information. So I will again read it for you. Metronidazole inhibits nucleic acid synthesis by disrupting the DNA of microbial cells. This function only occurs when metronidazole is partially reduced, and because this reduction usually happens in anaerobic bacteria and protozoans, it has relatively little effect upon the human cells or aerobic bacteria. Just now we have seen, we need to read it, then we need to understand what has been given in this. So, what we understand is this drug is going to inhibit nucleic acid synthesis. This is the first key term. Secondly, how it is inhibiting nucleic acid synthesis is by it is disrupting DNA of microbial cells. And metronidazole can do this only when it is in the reduced form. And this reduction can occur only in anaerobic bacteria and protozoans. So it has little effect upon humans. So when this is given to the human beings, it will not affect humans, but it will affect only bacteria, and that too anaerobic bacteria. So if I want to rewrite it, now I have understood that it acts by disrupting DNA. You need to try to write it in your own words. So I will start writing metronidazole acts by inhibiting nucleic acid synthesis via disruption of microbial DNA. Then I need to say it can act only on the anaerobic bacteria and not on the human cells. So I can write This is not possible with human cells because only reduced form of drug is able to cause this effect. Now, if I now the meaning is same. I have just changed a few words, so I have paraphrased it. Now, if I put it into Google, somebody has asked what is the free plagiarism checking software. Now you can see the number of words which are bold, they now have been reduced. So writing will not happen at one go. You have to keep practicing it. This is the first draft. You need to keep it modifying so that it doesn't matches completely with any of the source. And even if it matches, then you need to cite it. So now we are going to learn how to cite the references. So instead of just uh, this copying information, what you need to do is you need to paraphrase it. You need to present the information in your own words, and this you can do only if you have understood that information. From your point of view, you need to explain it. Along with this, you need to cite from where you have taken this information, from where you have read this original paragraph. So there are basically two styles which are popular. One is called as Vancouver style. Here also majority of the students get confused. They feel that writing references by Vancouver style and by Harvard style is only with the references at the end. These are the styles for citing the references in the text, as well as they will differ how they are given at the end, but they are majorly the styles which are used to cite the references in the text. So this Vancouver style is called as numbered style, wherein if you have written this paragraph, you are going to include that you have taken this line, but obviously you have re-expressed it into your words, but you have taken it from this source or reference number 8. Then this has been taken from 9 and 10, then 11. They appear into the sequence. So when in the this text you refer to that original source by use of numbers, it is called as Vancouver style. And at the end when you give list, that time you are going to give it in the form of numbers from 1 and then whatever number of references you have. So this is called as numbering style. Now this is the paper from the author Tomalia. See, they have self-cited almost 10 references over here. So they are avoiding self-plagiarism over here. So in this way, whatever information you write, for every one or two lines, you have to have the number from which reference you have taken this information. So numbering style is called as Vancouver style, and you write author names. Then there are different guidelines by the journals also whether to include the title of that text or not. Then there is name of the journal, year, and if applicable volume and issue, and the page number. There is another style which I have used here. See, for showing you this, I have referred to this article. It says author name and year. So, citing, if we are doing it by author year style, see this information they have taken from this Madan et al. 2014. This is called as Harvard style. If in your text you are citing the reference, citing means you are showing from which reference you have gathered this information. You have written it in your language, but by referring to the information given in this article. So if you are writing author and year, then it is called as Harvard style. So for everywhere you will observe if there are more authors, then they will write et al. And at the end, there are no numbers. You arrange it alphabetically. So Harvard style is alphabetical. You write the authors, then volume, authors followed by year. In Vancouver, year was after this journal name, then volume, issue, and page number. So at the end, it is mentioned alphabetical. And if you have the same author, this author is repeated thrice. Keshurvani, thrice means there are three different articles. Out of that, you can distinguish the articles by year. First article is 2015, second 2015, third article 2017. You can distinguish the papers in the same year by giving alphabets A and B. So same year references can be distinguished by giving these alphabets. Otherwise, if they are from different years, 2015 and 17, then you need not to include any other part. Directly you can give the list. So this is a tedious job for citing the references and then at the end arranging the references. See here, you need to mention the surname, then initial, and then year, then title, then abbreviation of the journal name, then volume, issue. It has to be in this format. So for citing as well as making your references in a particular way, there are reference management softwares available. Out of that, some are free, some are not. This Mendeley is preferred majorly into the science. So even I am using this Mendeley desktop. It is completely free. If you want to work offline, you can use Mendeley desktop. Online, if you want to cite, you need to install Web Importer. That is also free. Then there is Citation SY, Zotero. This Zotero is free as well as paid. EndNote and RefWorks, these are both are paid. So I will just show you in brief how Mendeley can be used for it. And I appeal that you should start using it. This Mendeley desktop is completely free. On the Google, you can type Mendeley desktop and download and install it. So Mendeley desktop is for offline work. And the beauty of this citation manager is you can collaborate with number of people you want. For example, uh, you and your supervisor and co-guide, they all three can have access to this information if you add collaborators. Secondly, you can access it from anywhere. If you are working from the office as well as working from home, so you can install it at both the places. It works by your email ID, so you can add the articles there and you can refer it from any place. So these are the articles which I have added. There is option add. You can also make folders. Like here for plagiarism, I have made this folder. Right now there is only one article. I can add articles in this. Below this file, I have the option of add. So usually, if I have downloaded some article that I have it stored, because this is the offline version I'm showing you. Suppose I want to add this article authored by Debnath, written into published in 2016. So you also usually download so many articles for your thesis purpose. You need to just add all of them into this Mendeley desktop. If you click on this on the right hand side, the article will get open if you have saved it as full text, so you can read it. And at the at the right hand side, it will indicate name, then author, then journal, then year, volume, issue. So it is automatically arranged. Now I need to cite it. Suppose I'm writing something about this plagiarism and I want to cite this article. It works only with Microsoft Word. In PowerPoint, you cannot use it. So in Microsoft Word, if I'm writing that plagiarism is a scientific misconduct, now I want to cite it. That this I have taken from the article which I have just now added to Mendeley. So what I have to do is I need to cite it over here. So I will place a cursor on this main toolbar. I need to go to references. If it is too fast for you, this recording will be available so that later on you can do practice by again seeing this recording. So you need to click on references, click on insert citation, go to Mendeley. Now here I have two articles. Out of that I need to cite this. So I will select this article. This blue line indicates selection. And now new option has popped up called as cite. This was not there earlier. So I need to click on cite. So automatically I will be directed to the Word file. And if you can observe, a small number has come. But what I want is at the end of the document, I want the list of the references. So I will click on insert bibliography. So this complete reference has come. Author name, Debnath, then title, then journal, volume, issue, and at the end there is year. So if you are writing a paper or thesis, at the end, usually this list comes. Now, so this is Vancouver style because this has been given in the form of number. In the references only, there is style. So if I change it to Harvard, see, it has converted into Debnath 2016 because Harvard style we have seen it is about author and year. And similarly, this has also been changed. Now it is author, then year, then title. It is mentioning DOI also. There are several other sites styles also. Again, you change it to Vancouver, numbers in the bracket. If you change it to nature, superscript. So you can easily change it. You need not to type these references. That Mendeley will take care of. So in this type, desktop version, you have offline article downloaded, already saved in your PC, you have added it. Suppose you want to do it online. Suppose you go to Science Direct and you are searching some article which is involving name plagiarism. Suppose this is the first article which I want to cite. I will click on export. Now I will show you in this folder there are only two articles just now. If this is the article I'm reading online, I need to click on export, save to Mendeley. Because I have already that web importer with me, it will directly import that document. Otherwise, if you are doing it first time, it will say install this Mendeley web importer. This sign in is free. So I have tick marked that download PDF if available. But you know, if you have access to this, then only PDF will be there. Otherwise, only you will get is abstract. So offline version is better. You download the PDF, then add it. Here I can select to which folder I want. So I have already created a folder of plagiarism. I can say save. It is showing saved, but because this is online, it will take some time. So after some time, we will see whether it has imported it to Mendeley or not. So some time has to be given, but Mendeley is very good for citing the references. So you do not waste time in typing the references at the end. It will easily switch over between different styles as well as uh, switching from Harvard style to Vancouver style, as well as it is very easy to view the articles from which article which information you have taken, and you will be able to share this information with your supervisor. Now, how to avoid plagiarism in the figures. Till now, we have covered how to avoid plagiarism in the text. So, I have told you need to read it, understand it, and write that information in your words, as well as you need to cite it. Then only plagiarism will be reduced. But how to avoid it in terms of figures. Now, figures in your result and discussion chapter, take only those figures which you have obtained from your studies. You plot the graphs on your own. All the bar graphs, Microsoft Excel will give you a variety of kinds of graphs which you can present the information. So you plot it on your own. But for introduction, when you want to copy the images from the internet, then you need to copy only those images which are labeled for reuse. If you directly take any image, then we do not know whether it is subjected to copyright, anybody has taken copyright or not. You need to only take those images which are labeled for reuse, or you need to take permissions from the author or journal if it is copyrighted. So we will see one example. Suppose you want to take image of one plant, for example, Ficus religiosa, and usually we go to the image section. So you can see so many images are there. If you click on this image, see what they have written. Images may be subjected to copyright. And learn more, if you click on this, these are general instructions. They will not tell you whether this image is copyrighted or not. They just say, click on any image. They will just say, images may be subjected to copyright. Check website for the pricing. Images may be subjected to copyright. So what you need to do is, when you are in this images portion, you need to go to the tools. So click on the tools, and then here there are usage rights. Click on the usage right. Currently what images you are seeing, they are not filtered by license. You need to click on labeled for reuse. Now you will observe that number of images will be less than the original. Usually Google will show you so many pages of the images. But when you click on label for reuse, this was the image we were trying to get. So now you can take this image. Even there are some images which are labeled for reuse but with modification. You cannot directly take these images. So this is the common image which is given by Wikimedia. You can use it. If the image is available in labeled for reuse, you can directly blindly you can copy that image. But if there are some images which can be reused but with some modification. So for us, this option is more important. Click on labeled for reuse and use those images. There are other options also, say for teaching purpose. This is not for commercial. So you can use images which are labeled for non-commercial reuse with modification. You can stick to this option. Take only those images which are there in the labeled for reuse. And still if you do not get the image which you want, then if that image is copyrighted, then what you need to do is you need to take permission from the author or from that journal, so that you can take that permission via email. You can request them that I'm working on so and so, and I wish to include your image published in so and so journal, so kindly grant me permission. So when you are writing, when you are including this image in your thesis, you need to mention with that image. This image comprises of A, B, C part. So A is a drug encapsulated dendrimer nanocarrier. It is reprinted with permission from reference number 43. Copyright 2009 with ACS publication. B image also they have taken from the same reference. But this C image, drug conjugated pH sensitive, it is reprinted with permission from reference number 98. Copyright is with elsewhere 2018, but it is reprinted with the permission. Usually they give permission in the research. Nobody will deny you. So you can ask for permission, and if they grant you, then you can directly use that image, but you need to mention this citation. So copyright can be with the journal, that is publisher, or it can be with the author. See, this particular example shows figure of this PPI dendrimer. It is adapted with permission from, and then there are authors, then 2011, then title of the paper, and then volume, issue, and page number. So you need to cite this. This is citing of the images, but adapted with permission. Permission is important. You do not need permission when I have showed you are using the images labeled for reuse. But if you are taking it, which is subjecting to the copyright, not easily available in the section which I have told you, you need to approach either that author or publisher, and they will grant you permission. Okay, now we are coming to the last part, how to check the plagiarism. We have already seen one example in the Google. I have shown you that metronidazole example. So if you have small paragraph, you can directly paste it into the Google, and if the information appears in the bold, then it is plagiarized. If it doesn't appear, you can go ahead with that. For checking entire thesis or manuscripts, these are paid and institute subscriptions available. So there is Turnitin, Urkund. These two are available with Pune University. If you are studying in Pune University, they have subscription for this, and it is free for all the students of Pune University. So you just need to approach your college authorities, and they will make you this subscription available, because the university has paid to them. Then if you want to personally check it at your end, but it is paid. But if you can invest uh, some amount of money for your own good, so Authenticate is there and Viper is there. Both are paid. There can be a demo version which will allow you to scan only one document, but then they, after that, they will insist you to buy their subscriptions. So if you are at student level, then do not worry. University has this. You just need to email them your thesis in the said format, whether they ask for PDF or Word, all in one. So you need to mail them, and within 1 or 2 days, you will be getting that report. But after getting that report, you need to work on reducing the plagiarism. Instead of that, you start doing it on the Google itself. You type one paragraph, check it, and then you can include it. So automatically your plagiarism will come less. Then these two websites which I have found, they are for personal use without any subscription, but they do not allow bigger documents, only for 1,000 words. This small CO tools is allowing 1,000 words, and this Quetext is allowing 500 words at a time. So you can paste it there immediately within say 1 or 2 minutes. You will get your report. But there are some other sites like Grammarly, Plagscan. So many sites are there. But what they do is when you submit, when you paste your information there, ask it for check it, they will check it for you, and they will indicate that yes, 15% plagiarism is there. When you want that report, that time they will ask you to buy their subscriptions. So I will personally prefer, keep on writing smaller parts daily, check it on the Google. If you have say summary and conclusion, some bigger portion to be checked, then you can do it on this small CO tools as well as Quetext. Grammarly is you can do it once, even with Authenticate and Viper also. In the demo version, you can do it once, and later on in the university, you can do it with Turnitin as well as Urkund. But rely on Google. Google has a lot of collection of, I mean, all the articles are there, so it can give you the first look. So I have to cite from which articles I have taken it. There is very good article, Plagiarism, a Silent Epidemic in the Scientific Writing. What are the reasons, recognitions and remedies? Then plagiarism in medical scientific research. And then these are some articles from which I have taken the images. Then you can go to turnitin.com, authenticate.com. So this is all about the information which I wanted to share. If you have any doubts, you can personally contact me through email or WhatsApp. This is my number as well as email ID. Also, you can write it into the comments section. Let's see if okay. I will just try to answer few of the questions. If we use image from any article, but the image again made by any software and so many modification, then also it has to be given citation. If you are taking it from any article, then you have to cite it. how can we give citation to an image from any other source but not from any article? If it is labeled for you can just say adapted from. If it is labeled for reuse, you can just say reference adapted from, and you can write that reference over there. You need not to write that sentence of with permission from so and so copyright. In Mendeley, we have to add all reference that we have cited to manage the reference, obviously. Because, see, whatever references you are including into the end list of your references, you have to cite them. So in Mendeley, you have to add first them so that they will be easily available for you and you will be able to cite them. But Mendeley helps you in that editing part. Also, it can be viewed very easily by all the collaborators which you have included. If you remember, when I given you the demo, there were only two articles. Now it has added third article, 2020. See, I added it through Web Importer. It will show you time also. And when you have huge number of articles, see this folder has almost 100 articles. So I can arrange them by the date from first to last. Then I can, this is the beauty of Mendeley. You can easily segregate them, then published in say same type of journal, then year, say from starting from 1985, then 2020. So I can arrange them even based upon authors also. If I want to pick up the same authors, see Zeng, same authors, I can arrange them even with the help of title also, with say alphabetically. So that is the beauty of Mendeley. You need to add all the references which you want to cite them. Can we copy the spectra and chromatograms from the articles for review article with citation or need to take permission in that case? If you're copying it from any article, you need to take permission. Nowadays, they say with open access, you do not need that copyright. Previously, it was popular. Still, you can draft one mail and ask for it. Their answer will be, this is open access, so you can use it. But you need to properly cite it. So taking permission, that by that way you will learn how to draft the requests, how to give. Okay, this I have covered. If we take some of the part of the thesis from the websites like WHO or CDC, yes, you can cite it. You need to write a name of that thesis, name of the student, then name of the thesis, then year, and then from that thesis, if you have taken some particular information, you can if you refer to some good journals, they will give you how to write this thesis. Just format is different, but you can cite it. Citing will be just by, if you are referring to Vancouver style, you will give a number. If it is Harvard style, you will write that author name and year, and at the end you will write then thesis, and then name, title of that thesis, year. Are there any ways except Google that a student can check plagiarism of his writing, as it is not feasible to access the licensed software like Turnitin and Urkund? Yes, obviously. So I have shown you that even Grammarly you can check once, but this is my experience that they allow you to do it freely, but later on they ask you for subscription. So keep on checking different websites. I have mentioned two websites which are free. When we write an article, we need to add some paragraphs of information that we have learned and explained from a new point of view, reference, and then how to cite it. See, for general, your own views, like if you're writing, uh, one particular sentence which is summarizing your research, you need not to cite it. But if, like mode of action I explained you, if you are referring it and then writing it, then cite it. If it is out of your own studies, we never give reference to abstract, conclusions, summary. This is based upon your outcome of your research. Best plagiarism check tool, maybe for free. So I have mentioned. Then can you use diagram from internet? So I have already shown you how to use diagrams from the internet. You need to go to the tools and then click on, when you are on the images part, you need to click on tools and then labeled for reuse. Then only you can take it from internet. In the tools, you need to select labeled for reuse. If anyone copies some sentence and then cite it properly, is it acceptable? Yes, but it will be counted as plagiarism. Better thing is, don't copy that sentence. Try what that sentence is. Uh, I mean, understand what is the meaning of that sentence and then write it in your own words. If we check plagiarism online by using different sites, then how much it is authenticate? In some cases, if we copy spectral information or diagram, okay, authentication, you can try it. Like on Google, I have shown you. You yourself can copy some information. Like I have tried it. I have given you these two websites because I have personally tried it. That I have given you these two websites because I have purposefully taken information from one article and I pasted it in this website. And they correctly indicated me that you have taken it from this article only. Even same is with this query text. You purposefully try it once. You copy the information from one source, put it here, and then see. It's like validation of that software, whether it is indicating correctly or not. If it shows you that you have taken it from that source, then obviously it is the authenticity. Okay, so I have answered almost all of the queries which I can see in the chat box. Thank you so much for attending this session. Still, if you have any other doubts, you can write it into the comment section. But this recording will be available after some time. So after that, you can write it, or you can personally also contact me. Thank you once again for participation.